For those of you who are wondering, will I take questions during this presentation? Absolutely. I will ask Jessica to manage the questions, and I have the chat open so I can look. But in the meantime, if you have questions, ask away, and I will take breaks in the middle to answer questions, not just at the end. So, two really big questions about projects. The first is, when will it be done? And the second is, how much will it cost? And if you think about what managers want to know, they want to know these questions because when you are done with one project, you can then start another. You can realize the value of that project when you release it to your customers, however you release it. So having a project be done is really key. Now, the how much will it cost question is quite related in software to when it will be done. We most often in software have the real issue of cost in terms of how many people are on the project and how long will it take. Sometimes you don't get any value from the project if you have a lot of people on it and it takes, quote, too long. Right, the project is too expensive for the perceived value. So those are the two big questions, and they're really good questions. But the real question I have is, what can you predict? And the answer is not that much, not as much as you would like. And I have encountered several managers over the course of my career who said, this project will be done by March, right, whatever it is, by Christmas or whatever. And you can want that to happen all you want. But decreeing that a project will be done is almost never the right thing. So in this webinar, I'm going to provide several options for you to think about. How can you estimate? What can you predict? How can you provide answers to the people who want the answers to those questions of when will it be done and how much will it cost? So a couple of things. I would like you to realize that the definition of estimate is guess. I have met many managers who do not like this definition, but that's what it is. So when you estimates, you also want to be able to explain that you are guessing, and I have some ideas. You have a ranked feature set, and you work by feature as an agile or as an incremental or iterative approach. You can provide working product and refine your estimate as you proceed. Managers really like this because that takes many of the risks out of estimation. No matter how you estimate, expect to iterate on the date and the budget. Whatever you think you have at the beginning is not what you're going to have at the end. So think about, what do I need to do as an estimator, as a project manager, as a project participant, and even as a manager to get the best possible estimate for date and or budget as I proceed. I know a lot of your managers would like to know the date that you will provide the project, when the project will be done. They want one date. But if you provide a single point estimate with no confidence interval or just a single point estimate, that is a very dangerous thing, because what you really have is a range of possibilities. And I'm going to talk about how you get to that range of possibilities. So the ranges not only cover your tush, but they train people to think much, much better about risk. So, and that's what you want. An estimate is not just an estimate of completion. An estimate should include the estimate of risk. There are a couple of things that you want to consider for your estimation as preconditions. What is the number one priority for your project? Is it the date of release? Is it the feature set? Is it the defects? Is it the cost? Is it something else? So I have a way to think about this in the project pyramid in a few more slides. So you have to know what is the first priority for your project. And I bet if you have people who are accustomed to single date estimates, single point estimates, they have not thought about the priority because this is a whole set of trade-offs. If you have a ranked backlog, you can proceed through the backlog whether you are agile or not, right? This is not about agile. This is about delivering value as the project proceeds. I have a bias towards the team who does the work does the estimation because it's very, very easy for surrogate estimators to have built-in bias. One of the things I've seen a lot is that managers who used to do this work think that they still could do this work. They think it can't possibly take 3 weeks for this one feature, but it does. And because they think it only should take 1 week, and it really does take 3 weeks because that's what the team estimated, now the project is behind through no fault of its own. So surrogate estimators have a built-in bias. My experience is that the built-in bias is mostly underestimation, but maybe you have people with a built-in bias that is bigger, that is overestimation. I don't know. But I know that surrogate estimators do not have the same realistic approach to estimation that the team who does the work has. I talked about not ever providing a single point estimate using confidence ranges or 3 dates. And I'll talk about more about that later. The reason you don't want to provide a single date estimate is that you're actually trying to estimate with precision. Now, that would mean that you could say let's see, today is Wednesday, January 27th, and let's assume that 6 months ago, you started a 6-month project, which you thought was a 6-month project. And you said, we will be done with this project by Wednesday, January 27th at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. That is quite precise. Precision useful. It's been better to say sometime during January, definitely before February 1st. Is that enough accuracy for your management? Now, sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is yes. But one of the things I would like you to consider is that when you start to forecast, right, when you say we'll either spiral in on a date, or we'll provide you with 3-date estimate, or we'll have confidence intervals, we are forecasting. And with more time, we can improve our accuracy. The note of the words forecast and prediction help people think of something like the weather. Now, we actually know a lot more about the weather than we do about software development. We have models for the weather. We have, in fact, if you looked at the big storm that came up the Atlantic last week, for those of you out of the country, the U.S. had a very large storm from the mid-Atlantic up to about New York City. I'm based in Boston. We only got about 5 or 6 inches. And farther south, they got feet of snow, feet. And the problem is they had the European model, they had a couple of different models from the U.S., and none of the models agreed. So even though we know a lot more about the weather and we are able to predict weather better, we still don't know how to forecast it well. And here's an example of what I mean. There's a cone of uncertainty that they have when they predict hurricanes, at least in the United States. I don't know about the